Good morning, students. Welcome back to the class. So, in the last class, we completed the chapter Relations and Functions, which was quite easy for us to go through as it involves less calculation and lot of logics. So, hope there was no problem at all. If still there is any problem, okay, so not to worry, please call back, okay, or message to us. We will clarify whatever the doubts you get. Okay, so what you need to is sit with interest, okay, and practice. Definitely you will get it. Okay, by forcefully you can never learn anything. If even I force you to learn, you will never learn. Even if someone is forcing, like your father, your mother, or someone, you will never learn. Okay, the moment you sit with that I should learn, then only it's possible to learn the concepts. Okay, the concepts are easy. Okay, there are only few concepts. Okay, lot of logic. Definitely, if you can practice once or twice, you will get it. Okay, now to start with the next chapter, that is called as inverse trigonometric functions. To start with this chapter, we should have the sound knowledge of trigonometry, the first thing. So whatever the first year basics of trigonometry you are studying, now that is the most essential part for us. Now without knowing the first year trigonometric formulas, nothing can be done. So please give importance for this one. Okay, so say every problem, every derivation what I am going to teach in the chapter of inverse trigonometric function, you need one or the other formulas from first year trigonometry. If you are ready with this, definitely this chapter will never be a problem. Let me tell you another thing. This chapter, maybe in 3 sessions I will finish it. That's it. Okay, and it will be for 8 marks. So what they will give you: 1 mark, 1 problem, 2 mark, 2 problems. Okay, then 3 mark, they will give you 1 problem. So totally it's going to be for 8 marks. 8 simple marks which you can score with this simple chapter, which will be get over in just 2 to 3 sessions. It will get over. Okay, so this is the concept, or this is the thing what you need to know about the chapter. So be ready with the first year trigonometric formulas. Okay, first thing. Second thing, the chapter is quite simple. Okay, not too lengthy at all. Fine, 2 to 3 sessions this chapter will be over. So but yes, this involves this will give you many formulas actually. If you can sit and practice them, definitely no problem will be difficult at all. Clear, students? Okay, now to start with inverse trigonometric function, first thing it says inverse function. We'll study, come back to this later. Let us study something called as inverse function. If you remember, in the last topic we studied, if f is a function from set A to set B, and remember, inverse will exist if this function is bijective, the most important thing. If this function is not bijective, then inverse does not exist at all. Okay, so if f from A to B is a bijective, then there exists a function g from B to A is called inverse of A. So if f from A to B is a bijective, its inverse simply obtained by interchanging the domain and codomain. Clear? Right. So that's the definition of inverse, and we have done plenty of problems based on this. So if you remember, we have done problems based on f of g is equal to y, and g of f is equal to x. If this is satisfied, then g will be called as inverse of f. We have done problems of such kind, correct? Okay. Now the thing is, can a trigonometric function be bijective? See, we have to start with inverse trigonometric functions. There are 6 trigonometric functions, correct, right? So there are 6 trigonometric functions. So can I find the inverse of this 6 trigonometric function? First, let us discuss whether it's possible to get the inverse. For every function, it's not necessary inverse has to exist. Okay, if inverse has to exist, the given function has to be bijective. So let me take a function f from R to R defined by f of x equal to sin x. I want to check whether this is a bijective. So this question is whether this is bijective. If it's not bijective, then it's meaningless to study its inverse, right? So let us study this. For example, let us consider f of 30 degrees and that's going to be sine 30 degrees. And what is sine 30 degrees? 1 by 2. Now let me study what is called as sine of 150 degrees. Sine of 150 degrees. Remember, sine of 150 can be written as sine of 180 minus 30. That's what I said. If you don't have the sound knowledge of trigonometry, studying this chapter will be very difficult. Okay, so please sit back, revise your trigonometry and start with this chapter. Right. So sine of 180 minus theta will be sine theta, and sine 30 is going to be 1 by 2. What is this shows us? 30 degrees and 150 degrees are different elements, but their images are same. That means I am unable to conclude that f of 30 is equal to f of 150. But 30 is not equal to 150. F of 30 is 1 by 2, f of 150 is also 1 by 2, but 30 degrees is not equal to 150 degrees. This shows that two different elements having same image. Therefore, the function what is being taken is not 1, 1. If it's not 1, 1, don't check for onto at all. If it's not 1, 1, hence it cannot be bijective. So simply, this chapter does not exist at all. But we have to study. We have to show inverse trigonometric functions exist. Now, to do that, what we have to do is, see here, if you notice, I have taken from real numbers to real numbers, right? So this is called as domain, and this is called as codomain, correct? If I restrict this domain and codomain, if I restrict the domain and the codomain, then it's possible to say that inverse trigonometric functions exist. Directly, inverse of any trigonometric function does not exist at all. But if I want to say the chapter exists and if I want to study inverse trigonometric function, then I should restrict the domain and the codomain of the trigonometric functions. Then only it's possible to say the given function is going to have a inverse and we can study this chapter. So that is the beginning, that is the way to start the chapter. First of all, let us discuss whether it exists. So as we started from real numbers to real numbers, it nowhere exists because it's not going to be bijective. Then this chapter cannot be studied. If I still want to continue on study, a quite simple task, restrict the domain and codomain of the given function. That means of the trigonometric function. Then study, this chapter will exist. Now let's see how to restrict the domain and the codomain and study this chapter. Now let us see the restrictions based on, first let me have a function f of x equal to sin x. We have all seen the graph of sin x, so I will explain little with the sin x graph. If you remember, this is the graph of sin x, right? Correct. So what is this angle will be 0, this angle will be pi by 2 and this will be pi, correct? And the next here it is 3 pi by 2 and this will be 2 pi, fine. And if I come to the left side, what is this will be? This will be minus pi by 2 and this will be minus pi and it continues. This is the graph of sin x. Now, as you notice, see the function cannot be 1, 1. Okay, see the given function has to be 1, 1 and onto if inverse has to exist. Now to make this chapter exist and to make inverse of sin exist, I should restrict the sine wave only to this much. That means I should stop sin x to be a periodic function. I should stop sin x to be a periodic function. Okay, so in simple words to say, take one upper peak point and take one lower peak point anywhere. It's not that I should exist only between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. No. See, the graph was this much, right? Right. No problem. You take it from pi by 6, pi by 2 to this was 3 pi by 2, right? You study the sin x graph from pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. It's going to be 1, 1 and on 2. You study from 3 pi by 4 to the 5 pi by 2. Still it's going to be 1, 1 and on 2 is going to be. Right. So one upper peak point, one lower peak point. Between that, the graph has to be selected. So only this much graph, or only this much graph, or you can come to this one or this side also. You can select the point. Clear? Right. But the whole chapter of inverse trigonometry will be studied restricting the sine wave from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Right. What is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2? Right, it is the values of x, that is the domain. The domain should be restricted between closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Then what was the codomain? Codomain here, what we are getting here now. So this will be 1. It will be something like this, right? And this point is going to be minus 1. So the codomain should be restricted between the closed interval minus 1 to 1. If you place restriction on domain and codomain like this, then it's possible to say that yes, the sin x function. See, now there exists no point. See, first what is the thing I checked? 130 degrees. What is sin 30? 1 by 2. Now can I discuss 150? I cannot discuss 150 because it's crossing the limit, right? So I'm restricting, okay, so that the 1 1 condition exists. So to make sure the given function is 1 1 and onto, so that it is bijective and its inverse exists, you should restrict the domain of sin to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and the codomain should be restricted to minus 1 comma 1. If it's possible to do this, then you can say that the inverse of sin will exist, because under this restriction f of x equal to sin x is bijective. F of x equal to sin x will be bijective. Then it's possible to say that sin inverse of sin, see, inverse of sin standardly denoted by this way. So sin inverse will exist. So the most important thing in this chapter is what is the domain, what is the codomain of each inverse trigonometric function if it has to exist. So basically no trigonometric ratios are directly going to be bijective because they are infinite waves, periodic waves, correct now. But if you can restrict something like this, then it's possible to say the inverse sine or inverse cosine will exist. So this is how the thing should be carried on. So basic explanation to understand. This is our sine wave, right? Then what if suppose the sine inverse wave I have to write? So I should write sine inverse wave, right? Quite simple. Now this time the values of x, whatever the values of x was there, that will be on y axis, because see, remember, if f is from a to b, its inverse g is from b to a, correct? Then this will be 0, then this will be pi by 2, this will be pi, then this is minus pi by 2, and this will be minus pi, something like this, correct? So this wave has to be reversed now. This will be the sine inverse wave, only this much, okay? Whatever is there now, this has to be reversed. You have to just see the image of this in the mirror. Clear? This is the wave what you will be getting, and here it's going to be 1, and here it's going to be minus 1. So this is sine wave, this is sine inverse wave, okay? Just remember this now, sometimes it will be helpful for us, okay? So sine inverse will exist only if the domain of sine is closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and codomain should be minus 1, closed interval minus 1 comma 1. So then we can say that this sine inverse wave will exist. So once you notice, see, what was this function? Now it is written as minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 till minus 1 comma 1, correct? Now it's inverse, correct? This 2 will be interchanged, minus 1 comma 1 to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. This was the domain and codomain of sine. This will be the domain and codomain of sine inverse. So the domain of sine inverse will be this, which is nothing but the codomain of sine. The range of, the codomain will be this, okay, but this will be the domain of sine function. Remember this, I will write later I will write a table, then you will understand it better. Clear? Right. Fine, students. Now, as I said, yes, everything has been listed in the EPL, all the first year trigonometric formulas, whatever you needed, everything is listed. So what you need to do is just sit back, study those formulas before you enter this topic. Until unless you don't understand the first year trigonometry, or you will learn first year trigonometry properly. Properly means make sure you're 100% ready. If you're 100% ready with the first year trigonometric formula, this is never going to be a problem at all. Clear? Okay. So I will just briefly explain about cos inverse also. So we know the cos inverse wave. Okay, so let's go to cos. So if I have a function f from, once again real numbers to real numbers, cos inverse will never exist. So I should restrict the domain. See, if I take a function f of x equal to cos x, to say cos inverse exists, I should restrict the domain and the range. So let's see how to restrict this. So let's consider the graphical way. It's quite easy for us. Remember, cos will not pass through origin, right? So the cos wave will be something like this. Correct. So this will be 0. So what is this now? This will be pi by 2 and this will be pi. What happens to this now? This will be 0, right? I said one upper peak point, one lower peak point. Either you take it from here to here, or you take it from here to here, or you take it from here to here. Right? So any one part should be considered to say that cos inverse will exist. Restrict. Right? Okay. Now to study, let me consider cosine wave from 0 to pi. I will take the cos wave. Okay. Now I will restrict the domain. I will restrict the domain from 0 to pi. Okay. So once this restriction is done, now I am going to study what will be the range of this. Now the range of this function, what is the range here now? This is actually going to be 1 and this is actually going to be -1. Now the range of this function will be restricted between -1 to 1. Not necessary, you can take it from -2 to 2 also, -3 to 3 also, you can take it from anywhere. What will happen if I take -2 to 2, right? The cosine wave will be like this. So instead of touching here, the wave will go like this. Correct now? That's all. Fine. So to make the things simpler and study the things, so let us restrict here. Clear? So I told you that's how the restriction should be done. Now if I write the inverse wave of this, so it's going to be what? It should not cross 0, right? So it should not cross 0, something like this. Not exactly, not to worry, in your EPL everything has been mentioned. Okay, graphs are necessary. It's actually necessary once you go for MCQs actually. While solving many problems of MCQ, the graph will help us a lot. So please try to practice the graph. Okay, so this is the normal cosine wave. Okay, and this will be the inverse cosine wave. So as I told you, the domain and range has to be restricted. So please take care of that. Fine. Okay. Now to say tan inverse will exist if I take f of x equal to tan x. So if you remember the tan wave, this will be pi by 2 and this will be minus pi by 2. Restrict between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Just notice here, these two are not touching. That means the domain should be open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. It is not touching these two. Okay, and the range simply it can be any real number, because just see, you can just go on both sides. Correct now? So range can be any real number. So if I want to say tan inverse wave, if I want to study tan inverse wave, it's simple. This will be pi by 2 and this will be minus pi by 2. This is how the tan inverse wave will look like. Quite simple task, students. To study this chapter, you should restrict the domain and range of the trigonometric functions. Then it's possible to say the whole chapter will exist and we can study. This is how the beginning of the chapter will be. Okay, you need to understand why it has to be restricted first of all. What will happen if I don't restrict? What will happen if I restrict? And if restricting, from where to where? And when I say that, sir, this is the only value, definitely not. Actually, tan wave is there now. I can continue and write down one more tan wave like this. And this will be 3 pi by 2 to pi by 2. So you can study tan wave between pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2 also. Or you can study to the left also. Not an issue, but to make simple study, now this will be the easiest one too. Clear? Right. So about secant inverse, cosecant inverse and cot inverse, you just please see the EPL, graphs, domain, range, everything is been given in detail. Right? Okay. Now whatever I explained so far, this will give you 1 mark. Whatever I explained so far, this will give you 1 mark. Now that means if you study the domain and range of each function, each inverse function, it's going to give you 1 mark. So let's write the table. Okay, this table you can remember for 1 mark, it's an easy thing. So the first thing is function, then domain, then range. Range sometimes is also called as principal values or principal branch values. Okay, fine. So there are 6 basically. So to start with that, so first let us go for sine inverse x. So what is the domain? Domain of sine inverse x will be closed interval minus 1 comma 1. Remember, domain of sine inverse is the range of sine wave. Okay, so the domain of sine inverse will be minus 1 comma 1. The range is going to be closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. What is the restriction you have given for sine? So that sine inverse will exist. That should be remembered. Now the second one, cos inverse, domain will remain the same. Only thing is range is going to be 0 comma pi. Now the next one is tan inverse. Remember, domain was domain will be all the real numbers, clear, and range will be open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. It is just similar to sine. Here is closed interval, here it will be open interval. Right. Now the next one, fourth one, secant inverse. Secant inverse, just look at that, r minus open interval minus 1 comma 1. That's one way of writing. Some of them will write minus infinity to minus 1. Just take care of this. Union 1 to infinity. But I suggest you out of real numbers except the closed interval minus 1 to 1. Okay, that should be taken outside. So it's better to remember this one rather than the second one which I just wrote. Okay, so the domain will be r, that is real numbers except the open interval minus 1 comma 1. Okay, now just look at the range of cos. The range of cos is 0 comma pi, right? It is also going to be 0 comma pi only minus 1 value where cos will become 0. The cos will become 0 at pi by 2. So 0 comma pi except one value called as pi by 2. Clear? Now let's go for the fifth one. Let's go for cosecant inverse x. Range will be, the domain will be same as this. So r minus 1 comma 1. So how to remember? See, for secant inverse when I am writing the range, I remember cos inverse. So for cosecant inverse, when I am writing the range, I am going to remember sine inverse. What is the range of sine inverse? Closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Sine will become 0 for what value? When x is 0, correct? Remove that one value. That is one easy concept, and yes, you can practice. It's easy to remember. You will never forget. Now the last one, sixth one. For cot inverse, what will be the domain? Domain is still going to be all the real numbers. What will be the range? Open interval 0 comma pi. Careful. Most of the times you will not use cot inverse, but rarely you will get problems based on this, and most of the students won't remember this at all. Okay, so this is how it has to be remembered, students. So sine inverse, cos inverse, domain will be same. Secant inverse, cosecant inverse, domain will be same, and tan inverse, cot inverse, domain will be same. That's how, one way, one trick. Okay, and for sine inverse, now it's going to be closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and for cosecant inverse, take the same, remove one value. What is this one value? At this one value, sine will become 0. Remove that one particular value. And for secant inverse, take the range of cos inverse 0 comma pi. From that, take out one value, okay, at which cos will become 0. Right? And for cot inverse and tan inverse, they have different, okay, you have to remember in different ways only. This table, what I have written, one of the values will be definitely asked in the examination. Now tell me the domain of sine inverse, or tell me the range of sine inverse, or tell me the domain of cos inverse, something like this. So if you can practice this table, 1 mark it will give you. First thing. Second thing, throughout the chapter I need these values. This is going to be the most important thing under inverse trigonometric chapter. Throughout the chapter I will be keep repeatedly asking you what's the domain, what's the range of inverse function. So the most important table according to this chapter. Okay, so practice this, it will give you 1 mark, and the whole chapter is based on this table.